Let's hope it works, else I hope my voice is strong enough. Let's immediately scatter your dreams. I'm not going to show any of the plans for West Kowloon. So if you were in the audience to see the plans, you can leave. Maybe the others will, but I'm not. What we are asked to respond to today is city versus architecture. And one of the subtitles that was given, we were asked to respond to, is there an interrelationship between urban planning and architecture? I grew up in Holland, and there is a relationship between urban planning and architecture, because actually we invented our own country. It wasn't there, we took it out of the water and started planning the whole thing, both in urban development, but architecture was at the same time conceived. Here in Hong Kong, you can also say that architecture and urban planning go hand in hand. At least if you look at the skyline of Hong Kong and you see the development, there are a lot of elements that are world-renowned architectural pieces. But is that the reality? Is there really a relationship between urban development and architecture? If we think of just a typical city and you just bring yourself into a modus that you think, okay, how does a city look like? You might think that there is a balance between building a building and developing a city. But the reality is that only half of the population in the world lives in a city, that 90% of that population doesn't live in any developed country like Holland or Hong Kong, that 10% that lives in a developed country, the buildings that are built there, only 60% are designed by professional architects. And now the shocking news, the other 90% of the population that is not living in a developed country, also only 10% of the buildings that are built for them are designed by professional architects. So urban development and architecture together? I'm not sure. It means that only 8% of all the buildings in the world are designed by professional trained architects. A map like this shows maybe balance, but in reality we could transform that map in all kinds of different ways. And here you see a transformation on spending per capita, and you see what happens. Here you can look at the GDP growth at this moment. You also see what happened. Then this part of the world becomes very prominent. And this is in reality the image of urban development. This is not architecture. Here another picture. This is urban development, how a lot of people see it in their daily life. They do it themselves by things they find on the street and build their own houses. They organize their own urban space or public space, and they organize it sometimes extremely well. And then in certain moments they come together, these two worlds, and then you can get a harsh image like this. Or another one that looks like this. So, actually, in reality, the speed and growth and the sheer quantity of urban development is no competition for architecture. City versus architecture doesn't exist.
Try that.
Try that. Okay. So, once again, city versus architecture, in my opinion, or in our opinion, doesn't exist. So now I brought my own profession to something that doesn't mean a lot. So now I can start talking freely and not making it more important than it is. So if we look at architecture then, did architecture change and therefore maybe influence city or urban development? this is a typical image of a house in a town that I grew up in Holland. Maybe a house how a kid would draw it. This is a typical architectural image from Hong Kong that you will all recognize. But this, of course, is the image that a lot of people that are educated as a professional architect think of when you have the real typology of architecture, bringing it back to the old Romans or the old Greeks and having an image. But what did the world economy do to that image? It changed it into something that is temporary, very exciting, and needs to shout for attention. The profession of an architect changed also. This is our dear colleague Daniel Liebeskind, that has to sell his own product before it even starts to be built. And you can say here we are doing the same. Although the authority gave us a full year to work on the conceptual plan, which is, I think, a very good choice, and exceptionally, the three of us in the end are in a kind of a beauty contest before it is going to be built. Now, I said that that change came through the growth in the economy, and if you now look what is happening in the economy worldwide, it's going down. What kind of effect does that have then on what I just said? These are the buildings that were designed over the last, let's say, decade. We are also very prominent there. And there you see what, in my opinion, will happen soon. It will be the end of the iconic architecture. So, now I also took away architecture. So now we can look at both urban planning and architecture again and see if we can find a connection or a new connection for the future or the coming time. And in my opinion, it would be good if we look at architecture more in its context and its urban context. A lot of people know this image. Of course, one of our most iconic buildings, the CCTV Tower in Beijing. And if you look at it like this, it's gigantic, spectacular. People have an opinion about it. But maybe if you look at it in a context of the city, it becomes much more neutral. Or even, in some cases, it fades away. Another building in Beijing that got a lot of criticism because of how it looks like when you stand in front of it. A lot of people call it an egg. And of course we also looked at it. It's a theater, and we are here in West Kowloon designing theaters. But if you look at it in the context of Beijing, maybe it isn't that strange. Maybe it is quite good and it fits quite naturally. Temporary buildings, buildings that you also need to build on West Kowloon to start the effort now and not in 5 years. You can look at them as an object, as a temporary object, or you can position them in a context that is also here in West Kowloon. And if you look at it in a context, it becomes a complete different project, and it looks completely different. Here, even a larger context, where it's not only a historical context, but the whole context of the city of Seoul. And then it becomes a natural piece of the whole development of the city, although it's temporary.